Hello, friend. Terry Scott, the ABC consultant, and I just wanted to take a few minutes here now. And you know me as the ABC consultant, advocacy, branding, and cash flow. And I've tried very hard in my videos here to add value. And even in everything that I do, add value. It's all about helping other people. And I've been in sales for years, and I've always never really considered my commission or what I'm trying to get out of a deal because, like Zig Ziglar said, you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. So I don't worry about commissions. They take care of themselves when I take care of other people. Now, I'd like to touch base with you just a little bit, if you'll allow me, because if you'll give me that permission, because in my other videos, I try not to talk so much about what I offer because I'm not really all about selling, but I do think you need to know, and it would be a disservice if you didn't know what I can do for you, because I mean, there's a lot that I can do, and it doesn't cost you anything, and you can get a boatload of money. Quite often, it all depends on several variables, but I'll talk to you about that. And anyway, so I don't want to talk about advocacy now, and of course I can help you to have an advocacy for your type of business, but what I want to do is talk to you a little bit about branding and cash flow. Really, those are the big things that I can help other people with. I can help you with the idea of what type of an advocate that you can be and what you can advocate for in your business. And I think that's really important because we need to not just open up our doors to get profit. And of course, we're helping our customers, obviously, but we need to get up in the morning for something bigger than ourselves. And we have to be in business for something bigger than our business. And that's what being an advocate for something else can do for us. So then we're actually, like Myron Golden says, he doesn't say that we're giving back to the community because we're not taking from the community. We're giving to the community. But as an advocate, you're actually doing so much more beyond that. And so anyway, we won't be talking about advocacy enough on that just now. But a couple of things now, branding, and as I was thinking about what I was going to say here with you is now the things that I offer through All Solutions Known, my company, I have several things that I do, and if you and of course, as an insurance agent, I do offer different insurance services, but really, I don't do a ton of that because, I kind of let that to other insurance people out there. And certainly, if you have insurance needs, just talk to me. If there's something that I can help you with, I'll certainly help you. But for instance, I work, well, first of all of these companies, I'm a business resource consultant. What that means is, I'm not an expert on all things, but I am an expert on vetting companies that I find out that they have integrity, that they care for their customer and all of that. I certainly have an overall understanding. I'm almost like a subcontractor when we're building a house. And so I contract the drywall people, and I contract the people that do the floors, and I contract the people that do the masonry work and all that sort of thing. I contract the landscape people. I don't do all of that as a builder. So in my case, that parallel is your business is the building. And so I come in and I help your business, and I subcontract different things in a sense. So for instance, and this isn't necessarily a business essential, but I think it is certainly an option that you should consider. You've seen these ads for buying gold, investing in physical gold. And there's some really cute commercials out there. There's some really hard-hitting commercials and things, but I make it simple. And it's no nonsense. What we do is we have a conversation, find out what your needs are and all of that sort of thing, what your wishes are, what you'd like to do. And then we see if we can make it happen for you, if it makes sense. And we don't just do it in one phone call. I'd like to spend probably an initial call with you and me, and then I would do a three-way call with one of my partners. And so anyway, but here's the thing. If you're already working with somebody, in insurance and in gold and in tax incentives, which is very rare that somebody does that, but there's a few of us out there. And then in the branding, that's fine. But yes, we're kind of a one-stop shop here. And there are advantages for doing that. But I'm kind of like a unicorn out there in the business world. I do A, B, C. And it's advocacy, branding, and cash flow, all in one place. There are advantages because I get to know you. It's like maybe a general practitioner. It's like having me as your doctor when you're a kid growing up, and I know you all of your life. So I do a lot of different things. And the advantage then is that if you're, for instance, doing tax incentives with me, I can help you with other things, and it all makes sense because I know a bigger picture as to what you do. If you're working with just one person, like for instance, your CPA doesn't know what your insurance person is doing, and your janitor or whoever does your custodial type work doesn't know what that person's doing and all that. So anyway, for instance, a couple of the things that I do is funding. I offer funding for businesses, and so if especially, our funding is very affordable and things, but especially we work with private companies and private funders and all types of funding people and services companies around the country. So we have a lot more alternatives than a lot of places. So by the way, for instance, if you're turned down at a bank, I can help you. But I do work with banks even because for a banker to say to somebody, we can't help you, you don't qualify, and then that person has to walk out their door. Now, it would be better for that banker to say, you know what, we cannot help you, but here's an opportunity. Terry, with All Solutions Known, he has different options. He may be able to help you. And so now that customer, you've done that person a favor. You haven't just let that person go out with no options. You've helped that person even though you weren't able to help them, and I may not be able to help them, but you gave them another opportunity, an option. So, but when somebody talks to me about getting funded, first of all, I would say, well, what do you have as far as your opportunity? Have you claimed your tax incentives? And the other things like WOTC, cost segregation, all of these kind of programs that are available, because if you haven't done that yet, you're leaving money on the table. So if I'm working with a client, I can say, well, you're looking at funding, but we should look at this first and then funding. Then the other thing is gold, for instance, gold, silver, and precious metals and things like that. So some people may say, well, I don't have money for gold, but really I can help them, and there is places in their business that they can get some money and put that and invest it into gold. And maybe gold to buy and hold is not a strategy that they should use, but that's something we could talk about. Then the other thing is, and I'm doing this all by memory and things, so gold, and the other thing, solar. Now, this is something we're talking legacy income, but again, not everyone qualifies for this, but we do work with, especially businesses, with commercial property and malls, hospitals, the bigger type buildings, the high rises and things to put solar panels there. Certainly, we would show you how that you can eliminate your entire electric bill. However, there's usually more money out of that than that. And then, of course, in the home, farms, land, and also EV chargers for restaurants, laundromats, retails, stores and grocery stores. And these are high-powered, fast EV chargers. So if a person knows that they're going to be able to plug in their car and charge it while they're in your store grocery shopping, they're going to come to your store before they go someplace else. Laundromats and car washes and things are kind of a natural when it comes to that. But I'm an intake specialist for a very large national company. We're in over 190 countries, and it's a great company. What we do is we bring electricity and water to places in the world that really need it. But no one is guaranteed that we'll work with them. You just have to raise your hand and say, well, I am interested. This is the amount of land that I have and that sort of thing. And then we just gather some non-sensitive information. And what I mean by that is your name, your best email to get a hold of you, your best telephone number, and your address and email, if I didn't say that. But again, what we need to do is be able to communicate with you. And this is the first part of the process. So anyway, solar, that's an amazing thing. So what we do is we do all of the upfront, everything, building the thing and installing and everything else. And then you share 50-50 in the split. If you're in a different country other than the USA, then that's a slight different profit split there. But it's hands off. Doesn't cost you anything to get started, but you have to qualify. It has to be something that's going to be profitable for both of us. So I probably pretty much covers the financial things, as far as the tax incentives and that sort of thing. You really need to take a look at my menu of services to get all of that information, because there's quite a few things that are there for you. And the credit card processing audit, the workers' comp audit, and just all kinds of things. It's very, very compact, but there's several variables in there that can really help you. And then the other thing, I guess I talked about cash flow, but I do want to talk about branding. So advocacy, I said I'll talk about some other time, and branding and cash flow. And many times people say, well, show me the money, right? You've heard that before. But I feel that if you don't have the advocacy, you're not going to have the business anyway. I mean, people are in business, I know, to make an income, and they love what they do, hopefully. But we need to have that advocacy, so we're just not working for ourselves and our own mission, but we're unselfish and we're doing something advocacy. Then we do the branding. And if we don't do branding correctly, then we're not going to have the cash flow. Now, my background is marketing, so I understand branding and marketing and all of that sort of thing. And I've been in it a long time, and the techniques and the vehicles change because we've got the internet and all of that sort of thing now, and not so much the newspapers, the physical newspapers and things. But I mean, I've been around long enough to see different things in that technology. But the biggest thing that I work with are the imprinted promotional items. And I can work with other things. I've created logos for some big places, and I'll still do that once in a while. But with the advent of AI and high school art students and whatever, and I don't mean to laugh about that because we've all been there, but some people who are not serious about their business will have somebody that, I think my wife's niece is going to school for art. I'll have her do something. Well, and again, don't want to take away from that. And I've taught in the adult college education level, and I've taught graphic design and typography and all of that, typography. And so I've taught people how to create logos. And it's not something that you just do, very quickly, like you just do a little sketch and then you're all done. I spend a lot of time, and there's a process for that. But anyway, it's something that you're going to keep for years. A lot of my logos are still in existence. They've lasted. Actually, I have one logo out there that is still being used, and it's been used for 26 years. So if now the minimum that I charge for a logo is $20,000. I don't do a ton of them anymore, but that's the minimum that I'll do. But if you take a look at 26 years and $20,000, it's less than $1,000 a year. And then divide that by magnetic signs, signage, stationery, business cards, and other things that you're putting that logo on, and getting that there, divide that $1,000 by that, then it's dollars per year. And then you think about the impressions that you're getting, when how many people see that sign, how many people see that stationery, and that sort of thing. It's really pennies, fractions of pennies that you're actually paying for a logo, especially when you have somebody like myself creating a logo that lasts 26 years. So branding, though, has to do with, it's larger than this, I understand, but really I've been creating, producing, and the image and the imprint on promotional products since 1981. So you do the math. And I've loved that because I've created the art to put on there. And I still have some customers that I've had since then too. And anyway, there's an art. Now, a lot of places, companies, businesses, they'll just buy a pen and not pay any attention to it as to what type of a pen. But if you use a pen correctly, you're going to get more mileage out of it, and you're going to get more impressions out of it, and all kinds of good things, and key fobs and mugs and shirts and things. And now I know my wheelhouse, and by that I mean I love embroidery and hats and t-shirts and apparel. However, I turn people on to local places that do the embroidery because they can do it. Maybe they can even turn it around in a day or something, and they can do small quantities, like maybe 1 or 2 items or something. If you do get apparel from me, hats and shirts and whatever, it has to be in a pretty big volume, and because I just choose to do it that way. But if you have needs where you're going to just need a few things and you need them for this Saturday, I'm not really your guy. So at any rate, there's a place for everything that I do. But with branding, my company is Branding More, and you can go on the website, order things. But really, what I and my team recommend that you do is, if you have a question, you're saying, well, we've got a trade show coming up. We've got an awards banquet or something like that. And again, yes, here's a cute little award or whatever. But I love to be creative and not just to have the plain mill, the run-of-the-mill kind of an award, but tell me more about your business. And then again, as time goes on, I get to know your business and I can come up with ideas. And when I see something, I can contact you and say, hey, you know what, you should consider this because I think it would really work well for what you're doing. So I kind of went in reverse. I went to the CBA. We've talked about cash flow, we've talked about branding, and a little bit of the advocacy. So anyway, I appreciate your time here, just for me to be able to say a couple of things about advocacy, branding, and cash flow. And I hope that you'll give me an opportunity with All Solutions Known to help you. And I offer a 30-minute, no-fee consultation. So what's cool about that is you could tell me your most pressing business problem, and I don't think of problems as problems, I think of them as situations, but at any rate, then you'll get something out of that. Even if you don't purchase any of my services, you'll still get something out of that. And I've worked with a lot of clients that way, and it's just a wonderful thing because it really helps me to get to know you a little bit. And out of that 30 minutes, you're going to walk away with just a better understanding and maybe even a solution to a problem that you're experiencing. So we'll do that via a Zoom. It's very rare now that I meet with people one-on-one, and unless you're local or you'll fly me to your place, or if I happen to be speaking in a town or a city or something like that, and then we can coordinate something. But really, it's just so much better, I think, even for my clients, to be able to be at the computer at a set time to do things. So that's a 30-minute free consultation. And by the way, I only have 24 hours in a day, just like you, and I do like to sleep once in a while. And I get the privilege of working with other clients, so I can only do about maybe 10, probably 10 of those 30-minute consultations at no fee per week. So if you click on a link here someplace and you request one of those 30-minute sessions, you may end up being on a waiting list. But it's all good. We'll get together and it'll make sense and it'll be a good value to you. So again, this is Terry Scott, the ABC consultant, America's #1 business resource consultant, saying make it a great day and do well. Bye for now.